Yo, welcome to Two Across. This is Rob. I am sitting in Montreal.
And I'm Theo, sitting in London. That was a very brief version of the intro there, Rob.
Well, we've been sitting, for people who are not privy to the goings on in the green room, we've been in the green room for 20 some odd minutes sorting out audio gremlins. And so I thought I would just get right into it, Theo.
Yeah, fair enough. We can't waste any more time today. Rob, I'm going to kick us off with a cheery subject. I've been the victim of fraud this week.
Really?
Yeah. It's
oh man, I'm sorry to hear that.
Massive ball ache. So I got a notification yesterday saying that I was expecting a delivery of some technical product from EE, which is my mobile provider. And I was like, well, I didn't order anything. And then I looked at the address and it was some random address that I didn't recognize, and then quickly ascertained, oh no, somebody's hacked into my phone somehow and ordered something in my name. And sure enough, I find out from EE that that's exactly what's happened. Someone's ordered masses of headphones through my phone account, and the way they've done it is by basically somehow getting hold of my password, phoning up EE, and asking to switch my physical SIM card into a digital SIM card, into an eSIM. So they then have taken over control of my phone account. And fortunately, I got this notification from the delivery company, so I had a sense that something wasn't right and then was able to deal with it. But then they subsequently did exactly the same on my Amazon account and attempted to order hundreds of pounds worth of a gift card or something, because the Amazon account had the same password as the EE account. So clearly, somehow, my email and password are on a database. Fortunately, it's not a password I use for everything, only a few things, but historically it was the password that I used for everything. And it's terrifying. It's just really terrifying. It's this feeling that all this information is out there somewhere, and who knows who, someone is trying to be me in order to order loads of stuff. And I've previously had experience of having my identity stolen, which was horrendous because someone took out loads of bank loans in my name, which I then it took me months and months to unpick all of that. So I've had sort of horrible flashbacks again this week of going through all of that shit again. And I'm hoping, anyway, long story short, it hopefully is now resolved, and I've changed my passwords everywhere I can. And I've got a new SIM card, and I'm praying that is the end of the matter. But it's a disconcerting thing to happen, and it's just a ball ache. It just takes a long time to get everything sorted out. Anyway, I've had a fun 24 hours, Rob.
You end up with some kind of feeling of culpability, right? Like, what did I manage my passwords properly? Should I have changed them more frequently? That alert that I got from Google that said that my passwords are on a leaked list of known passwords and you should change them immediately. Should I have ignored that, or should I have immediately addressed it?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, that's exactly what I've been going through, because a few days ago I did get a notification from EE saying that I was switching to a eSIM and something. I just assumed it was a natural thing that was happening because I recently changed my phone, as discussed in the last episode. So I didn't call the number and double check that it was all legit. But it is a lesson. It's a lesson. It's a cautionary tale in not having the same password for everything, and just taking that sort of stuff a bit more seriously.
But maybe this writ large is the problem, or the challenge that the average human faces in our world now, especially in a world beset by the philosophy of Steve Bannon, flood the zone, is that we are the zone, and we are being constantly flooded with so much information that nefarious actors, be they of the presidential sort or scammers, just surf on that noise. And the little signal that comes through to you that something's amiss is drowned out in the throng of everything else that you're trying to bat away. Because probably on the day you got your thing about an eSIM change, you also got 10 other pieces of unsolicited correspondence that
Yeah.
you wanted nothing to do with. And at the same time, you were probably dealing with a toddler tantrum in the park and trying to get a dog to move on when it had found a convenient fire hydrant or God knows what, you know?
Have you been spying on me, Rob? That's a very accurate summary of my last few days. But yeah, that's exactly the thing. You are constantly, your zone is constantly flooded these days. And whereas, as we discussed last time, you are completely kind of weaned onto this technology, when something like this does happen, it just becomes a single point of failure that then screws with everything else.
Yeah.
That you realize, my God, I can't. I mean, I'm so thankful that this password was not also my email password, because that really could have completely screwed me over.
Yeah.
Or my banking password, or there are lots of ways in which this could have been a lot worse. But even so, it's just a reminder that we are all vulnerable to this stuff. My mum got defrauded recently as well. Yeah, it's hard not to be a bit paranoid these days, because in some ways that paranoia is justified. So yeah. Anyway, in other news, what's been going on your side? Hopefully something more cheery than scamming.
Well, I'd like to say cheery because for the first time in 4 years, the Montreal Canadiens are in the playoffs, which was my pin from last time, because we were on the cusp when we recorded the last time, and we won the ultimate game of the season, punching our ticket for the playoffs, which the Canadiens weren't expected to do. We've been a bottom feeder for the last few years, but we're building our way back up. So I'd like to say good news, but we lost the first 2 games, including last night's game in Washington, who we are playing. So yeah, we haven't quite managed to bring our A game. Playoff hockey is very different from regular season hockey. It is reputed to be a whole different game because it ends up being incredibly fast and incredibly hard hitting. And Montreal, which is the youngest team in the playoffs and one of the youngest teams in the league, is looking every bit of their youth right now while they're getting smoked by the Capitals. But the team's coming home on Friday for the first home game in a full Bell Center in many years, because when the Canadiens went to the Cup in 2021, it was COVID times and the building was largely empty, progressively filled up as the playoffs went on, but never got to capacity. So anyway.
So how many games are played in the playoffs?
7-game series, 4 consecutive ones if you want to win the Cup. So 16 teams, right. The 32 make it into the playoffs, and then you have 4 rounds of elimination. So it's 16, 8, 4, 2, and then one is crowned, and every single series is 7 games in length. So it's grueling.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's almost, if you think the hockey season's 82 games long, in the playoffs, the maximum games you can play is 28. So you could end up playing a third more games in the regular season just to hoist the Cup. So it's an endurance match. Okay. And the teams that tend to do well in the playoffs tend to be teams that are large, robust, fast skating, hard hitting, whereas teams that tend to do well in the regular season are skilled, often smaller. So Montreal is potentially more of the latter variety as they're presently constructed, and it's showing right now in the playoffs. So.
And can I ask about the etymology of the Montreal Canadiens? Does that imply that at some point there was a Montreal Americans team or a Montreal French? Yeah, why the Canadiens?
So there were, at the very dawn of hockey time, there were 2 teams in Montreal. There were a few, but the famous era of early NHL, there were the Montreal Canadiens and there was the Montreal Maroons. And traditionally the Canadiens were the team of the French Canadiens and the Maroons were the team of the English Canadiens. And eventually the Maroons folded, I think in the late 20s. And then the Canadiens were the only game in town. But the actual official name, as the logo has it, if you look at the logo, it's a C with an H in it. So the actual official name is the Club d'Hockey Canadien, the Canadian Hockey Club. And Montreal's franchise is the oldest in the league. It was established in 1909, so it's been in existence for almost 116 years. And when it was established, it was the Canadian Hockey Club, because I suppose it was just one of the first. And At the time, there was no NHL, and so they were playing different types of competition. Okay. Some against American teams, some locally, some against university teams. I mean, it was a much more fluid sort of situation back then before an official league got set up, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, happened in 1917.
Gosh. There
That's
you
the
go.
history. A lot of
Yeah.
people mistakenly believe that the nickname of the Canadiens is the Habs. So if you watch a Canadiens game on television, the crowd will chant "Go Habs, go!" And this relates to a journalist having made a mistake at some point in the 50s that the H stood for habitant, because the habitants were a name for the sort of Quebecois farmers traditionally. And so people thought, oh, it's the Canadien habitant. But actually, habitant has nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with the name, but the name stuck. And so the nickname of the Canadiens is the Habs.
I love that stuff. I love
Yeah.
the way that these colloquialisms just, yeah, stick. And
Yeah.
going to see, I mean, it must be like somebody going to a local football match over here. The chants and the nicknames and all of the details of the name and the history and the insignia and everything. It's all so specific to each club.
Yeah.
And it's great. And that's what ultimately, distinguishes one club from another in the age of transfers and huge amounts of money, and the feeling that you're just supporting a team of hired guns, really, rather than local heroes. However, all of that stuff is what I suppose gives it the identity and keeps it going back. And as I had with my experience with Newcastle finally winning a trophy, you don't quite realise just how much you care about these teams until something like that does happen. Either it's triumph or it's disaster.
Yeah.
But in both of those states, you really feel it in the guts. And I know, having been an eyewitness to the Canadiens Cup run in 2021, what it means to you. And what an eventual victory in this competition would mean. It doesn't sound like this will be your year, but you never know. You never know.
I would say highly unlikely. I would be very happy to eat crow in 2 months' time, but I do not believe I will be eating crow. I believe more than likely within a week and a half the Canadiens will be bounced, which is fine. I mean, this was for the experience. But hockey in Montreal, as you say, it's a religion. I get British football. People absolutely love their teams, and I won't take away from that. But I would say that the love that Montreal has for hockey and for the Canadiens is at least on par, if not slightly higher. It's absolutely ludicrous when the Canadiens become good, how crazy this city gets. I'll give a little anecdote before we get into the crossword. And a week or two before the playoffs were to start and we hadn't yet clinched, all of a sudden news emerged from Russia that our young wunderkind, Ivan Demidov, had been released from his contract in Russia at 19. We drafted him last year and was coming to Montreal. And nobody expected that he would have been released from his contract. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, he was in Istanbul awaiting visa papers and he was on his way to Montreal. This thing appeared because we're also, as we've talked many times, in the middle of an election. So every spare lamppost is covered in posters, right, for the different candidates. We have a party here called the Bloc Québécois, which is a Quebec sovereigntist party, but that runs nationally. And their slogan is "Là pour les Québécois," here for the Quebecers, right? And then overnight, after Demidov signed, these posters appeared all over the place on the posts beside the election posters that had a picture of Demidov, and it just said, "Demidov, là pour les Canadiens." So like Demidov here for the Canadiens. And it was like, it's all over the city on random posts, like big format right by all the election posters.
Well, I wish him and his, I won't say compatriots, teammates, very well. And let's hope we also can bring home the goods in our crosswording efforts today.
I'm certainly hopeful of that. So why don't we go right to that? Theo, do you want to run down the rules for our friends at home?
Sure.
Let's go to the crossword, because crossing words is fun.
Okay, so today's crossword is Guardian Quick Crossword 17,150.
Yes, sir.
Another nice round number for us. And as always, we go in blind. We have not seen these clues in advance. I will set a 30-minute timer and we will see how we get on. And the scores, I believe, now are 14-11. So all to play for. Because if we can level the scores by the final episode, let's just say that would be very good for the narrative arc of our Series 2. And if we don't, that's fine. We can live with that. But it would be nice. So let's give it everything we've got. Do you want to choose the first clue, Rob?
Yeah, let's start top just for fun. One across is criminal restrainer.
Nice. Cheerful one to start with. I hope whoever stole my sim yesterday will be restrained in a similar manner. Is this handcuffs, do you think?
I had the same thought. So I think let's go with that unless we're disabused of it when we look at the downs. Do we want to look at a couple of those downs and just see if any of those confirm or infirm our choice of handcuffs?
Well, this relates to our pre-crossword conversation. 2 down, jump on ice, 4 letters.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I believe it's an axle.
Of course, as in a triple, double, all of that stuff.
Yeah. Or the quadruple axle. So that was the whole thing in the late 90s, early zeros, that men only did triple axles. And there were rumors of some men starting to do the quadruple in competition. And if I'm not mistaken, the Canadian Elvis Stoico was the first to execute a quadruple axle in competition.
Gosh, fabulous bit of sporting trivia there, Rob. And is that axle, is it AXLE like a car axle, or is it AXEL?
Or is it just AXL like Axl Rose?
Oh yeah, just AXL, and we've got the wrong word.
That's a good question, Theo. I'm not sure.
We might have to test it.
We could test it with 9 across, which is ruckus.
Ooh. Ruckus.
Yeah. So if it's EL, ruckus would be 9 letters long ending or with the second letter E, or it could be the second letter L. So I was thinking things like a hullabaloo or something like that. But
a hullabaloo, a brouhaha. Actually, brouhaha would fit.
Brouhaha.
No, it wouldn't. No, because I think that would be 8 letters.
Well, why don't we get some more downs and we'll come back to it.
Good call.
So inadequate, if it's handcuffs, would start with D and it would be 4 letters long. Inadequate.
Inadequate. So you could be no.
I'm not
springing to mind.
Me neither. Let's go to the next one then, which is discriminatory.
Oh, that should be easier because it begins with U, 6 letters. So that implies unfair?
I think so. And the F, I would say, suggests something for ruckus. So now we have ruckus as space E, 3 spaces, and then an F, and then 3 spaces. And I think it's an excellent word that is much in the spirit of hullabaloo. And I think it's quite onomatopoeic as well.
I'm thinking something fuss.
Oh, we'll see the fa. Think about the fa. Should I give you the first letter?
Kerfuffle.
You got it.
Oh, I love that word.
It's so good.
I love that word. There was an awful kerfuffle. And then finally they agreed that he had done a quadruple axle.
Yes. My problem with this, though, is...
Inadequate?
Well, now I look at both 3 down, inadequate, E space, F space. I mean, the only thing I think that could fit there is daft. That's not inadequate.
Or deft, which also doesn't mean inadequate. Or duff.
Duff? Yeah.
If something's a duff, it's generally considered a failure rather than an inadequacy, but I suppose it could be inadequate.
It's better than anything I got, man.
Yeah, let's try duff.
Let's put duff. So Homer spent his adult life drinking inadequate beer.
Indeed. Actually, that's a very good reference. It would probably apply more to duff beer than to most other things. I think 5 down proves kerfuffle because 5 down, the clue is geezer.
Yeah.
And it's F blank L blank blank blank.
Yes.
So my presumption there is fellow.
Oh, nice. See, I couldn't get myself off the geezer as an old geezer because, of course, we don't use geezer the way Brits would use geezer to mean kind of anyone.
Just geezer.
Like the way people from Scotland use the word cunt to describe anyone.
Sure. And that's an E on this week's episode.
Very well done.
So, talking of geezers, by the way, if you happen to be familiar with the Cockney actor Danny Dyer, I highly recommend Rivals on Disney Plus, where he plays. It's a Jilly Cooper adaptation, and he's playing very much against type, and it is wonderful to behold. It's set in the 80s, and he's got a fabulous toupee and moustache. And anyway, we'll move on from that because I get the feeling you haven't seen it, so
I've not.
we won't. Well, there's a lot of kerfuffling, I would say, in both a sort of fighting but mainly a sexual sense. Yes, it's all very...
You've piqued my interest. I'm titillated.
It's very saucy. It's very titillating. 13 across.
Unfortunately, it infirms fellow.
Oh, no, you're right. Scylla. It's an anagram of Scylla, which obviously doesn't have an O in it. So that's Scylla, like Cilla Black. So Cilla.
And I think there's one thing I could think that it would be, because we have an I as the second letter of that word, and I think it could be lilac.
Oh, yeah. Lilac, yeah. Even I can get that one.
It could be feller, like Fellar.
You just wouldn't spell that with an R on the end.
No. Fella, H?
Possibly?
Well, let's look at 16 across, which is Barack's state.
Oh.
Barack, his state, or their state, or would start with H if it was fella, but oh, wait.
What was his state?
I'm trying to think. Ehud Barak, right? Then it would be Israel. Am I right about that?
Oh, I was thinking Obama.
Well, I think he doesn't take a C. I think it's Barak, is it not? Oh, now we're getting...
Yes, you're right. I think you're right.
But no, that won't work, because then I must be wrong about this, because 14 down is... Wait, it starts with C. It is smart with money, if lilac is correct.
I think lilac must be correct.
Right.
So you could be canny with money.
Okay, yeah. Wow. Well, Barack Obama's state is Illinois because he's from Chicago. Oh, no, wait. Barack Obama was born in Hawaii.
Oh, yes. Good knowledge. And that fits.
Well, actually, Theo, he was born in Kenya. But
okay, fair. Yes, as the current incumbent would no doubt be quick to highlight.
But Kenya doesn't fit, so we'll go with Hawaii.
Hawaii, that's so well done.
But in which case, I think fella must be, Theo, because it's F space L space A space H. Or no, not.
I mean,
sorry,
that is an odd one. I have never seen fella spelt like that. But perhaps it's a oldie proper spelling of
like he's
word.
My fella.
Yeah. I mean, it has F blank L blank A blank. Unless our dear listeners are screaming at their wirelesses that there's some obvious word that would fit that. I think it has to be fella.
So it is, and we will take it, and we will move on with our lives.
We will run a mile.
We may get to the end of this and realize that we were atrociously wrong when we checked all, but it does solve the top left part. So why don't we just move down?
Okay. Let's move on. Right, a couple of double worders to get our teeth into. 6 down. Water-filled pan into which another pan is placed. 4, 5.
It's a French thing.
Oh, a ban something.
Keep going.
What is it?
You said ma.
Yeah. Ban my daughter would know because she's very into baking. And
it's named after a lady, a biblical lady.
A bain-marie?
You got it.
Yes!
It's a Mary bath.
How do we spell that?
We spell it B-A-I-N and then Marie the French way, I-E at the end.
Brilliant. I'm so pleased about that. And it's not Marie Antoinette, is it? I'm assuming.
I have no idea who the Mary is. Mary, quite contrary. Maybe she'd like to be in a double-walled bath.
Yeah. And that's when you want to sort of heat something without it getting too hot, isn't it?
For instance, yes, when you're looking to melt chocolate.
Melting chocolate would be the classic, yes.
Yeah.
And the next double word, and right next to it, is 7 down, and it's tiddly, 4-5.
Oh, God.
Which reminds me of something else I was going to talk about today, which is that we are currently caring for some tadpoles, Rob.
Are you now?
This being the spring and this being England, we are looking after tadpoles because that's what you do in the spring in England. And I have to say, it's been an education. I mean, it's not as straightforward as you might think. Yeah. But particularly if, as we do, you place them in a container that leaks all over your kitchen floor. So that was fun to come back from Easter holidays to a kitchen covered in tadpole water. Anyway,
clearly not taking care of your tadpoles properly, nor did you house them properly. That's all on you.
You know, you're so right. I'm going to have the RSPCA knocking at my door. No, I'm pleased to report the tadpoles survived. Not all the water leaked out, just probably about half of it. So they've now been relocated outside, and we're feeding them spinach. And apparently you have to watch carefully for when they develop legs, because at that point you've got to start feeding them meat, Rob. They turn into voracious carnivores.
So not only are they amphibious, they're omnivorous.
Indeed. All the usses, yes.
They're the ultimate flexitarian.
They really are. Anyway, I'm wasting precious time. What do we think?
Looking at some clues here, I'm a little worried about the rest of this crossword, so we should probably get... Well, I don't even know what tiddly means, bro.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we try and get some of the acrosses that lead into that?
Jawohl.
So 10 across is 1, no more.
Oh.
4 letters.
It's so funny how you read things and you're convinced it's a thing. I just read 1 more, so somehow I missed the comma and the no. So 1 no more, it could be...
Oh, only.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah?
Maybe. Yeah.
We talked about Chesney Hawks a few episodes ago. I am
the one and only.
And that would work, potentially. Nice. But let's try and get 8 across, which is cellar grains.
Yeah.
4 letters, second letter A.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Cellar grains?
But what does tiddly mean?
It just means small. It just means really small. Yeah.
It's like tiddlywinks or small winks?
Yeah.
Oh, because teeny tiny would have been great, but no. Okay, well, if it's tiny, Theo, then cellar grains
would end in I.
Yes, space A, space I. Cellar grains.
So is that a reference to something that's involved in making beer? Or
potentially, but that sounds a little bit like a convoluted clue.
Cellar grains.
I know.
I have no idea what that refers to.
No.
What about 19 across? We've got 2 letters for that. It's smalls, 6 letters. Second letter N, fourth letter I. I have a guess.
I think I know what 7 down is. Sorry.
Go on.
Could it be Itsy Bitsy?
Oh my God. That's outstanding guessing. Yes.
Or of your PJ Woodhouse, Boris Johnsonian sort of language.
It really is. Itsy Bitsy, like the spider. And that fits with my guess for 19 across.
Which is?
Undies.
Oh my gosh, yes. Those are your smalls, eh?
Your smalls.
Your gotchis, as my dad used to call them.
Oh, your gotchis. Lovely.
Good word.
So, yeah, that means cellar grains is now blank A, blank T.
So it could be malt?
Perfect. Yes. Perfect.
You think?
Gotta be, because it does refer to beer, doesn't it?
Oh, wait. Could cellar have another meaning? Like not the place under your thing, but something on your table.
Salt cellar.
Yeah.
Salt cellar. Oh Rob.
I don't like malt because why would that be
Yeah.
specifically in your cellar?
Also, is malt a grain? I don't know that it
A
is.
malt is not a grain. A malt is just something that it's a process of
That you do to
curing.
grains, like malt barley.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, Rob, salt. Yes, yes. This is why your brain is so good. And mine is so bad. Because I would have just taken malt and run with that. But you're absolutely right
I'm
to
about to hit a
interrogate that.
wall, I think, coming into the bottom here. Let's see. I don't want to be a this for the cause, but 15 across is a person sacrificing life on principle. It is 6 letters long and ends in R.
Yes, so let's quickly fill that one in. Because I think we can safely say, is that a martyr?
A martyr? Yeah, I think so. A
Which
quick
is a-
time check, Theo.
Awkward spelling. Time check is 12 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah, we have more than half of this to do. We're going to have to stop all the jibber
All the
jabber.
niceties. So
Yeah.
all the tadpole chat.
Well, I think this is a good one, Theo, and it's going to give us a lot of letters. 11 down, nth, NTH, 9 letters long, second letter M. And this is the kind of word my mom would always say when we were kids. I've told you for this time.
Oh, umpteenth.
What do you think?
I love that. I love that guess.
This is a lot of interesting words popping up at us today.
There's
Itsy
loads.
bitsy, umpteenth, kerfuffle. It's like a Rupert Bear novel.
It really is. Rob, can I just check the spelling of martyr? I've gone with Martyr.
Yep, that's how I spell
Okay,
it.
brilliant. So that means duplicitous, five letters, which is 13 down.
Yep.
Is LY blank blank blank. So it must be lying, do you think? Yeah, okay, perfect.
Ooh, and this rhymes
phew.
with lying, Theo.
Go on.
17 across, difficult, starting with T, second last letter N, and 6 letters long.
Trying.
I think so.
Okay, let's speed on to 12 down. Neighborhood, 9
Yep.
letters, blank R blank Y, and then 5 blanks. A neighborhood. Okay, we can get some of the acrosses for that. So
Yeah.
21 across is gong for performance on the box, beginning with E, 4 letters. Presumably an Emmy.
Oh, Theo, I had no idea what that was, but you're
Okay.
right. Yeah.
And then Auf Wiedersehen, this is 25 across, is 2-2, which is T blank blank blank. Auf Wiedersehen, so could that be ta-ra
Well, I thought ta-ta.
or ta-ta?
Ta-ra. Is that another one?
Ta-ra, love. It would be like a sort of northern thing, ta-ra.
Oh, really?
But it could be ta-ta.
Ah.
It could be either. But either way, it gives. We'll find out if we can get this neighbourhood,
Yeah.
which with the M from Emmy is now blank R, blank Y, blank M, blank R/T, blank.
I think we're going to have to come back to that area.
I think we are.
Let's look at 20 across, which is an aquarium fish, a tiny aquarium fish.
Used to have one, or several.
Did you have one of these?
I think we did. We had various tropical fish over about a 2 or 3 year period. A guppy, which is a classic of the tropical aquarium,
Yes.
and conveniently fits our clue, which means 18 down. Oh, this is nice. Babble as flowing water, or laugh as baby.
Yeah.
6 letters.
Yeah.
G-U, blank, 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 blank. So that must be gurgle.
I think that's gurgle.
This is coming together. Although this neighborhood is going to...
We'll get there. Let's not expend our precious energies on that just yet. 19 down, haughty, starting with UP. And this is another great word in the spirit of the itsy bitsy kerfuffle universe.
haughty rather than naughty. Uppity? do you think?
Pardon me, Theo. Yes, haughty. Yes, I think uppity. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So I read it as in my head as haughty, but I said naughty. It's funny how that happens. Oh my God. Whoa. Tell me if you know this one.
I know what you're looking at, and I don't know it. It's this 24 across.
Jamaican Tangelo.
4, 5, and it's blank G, blank I. Oh, could it be... no. I was going to say Aggie something. But I don't truthfully know what a Tangelo is, do you?
No, it sounds like a fruit.
Oh, this could be difficult.
An alcohol?
Okay.
No idea.
Let's try and get the downs. 22 down is German female.
Yeah.
So that would be a Frau. Is that right?
I would say that would be a Frau, yeah.
And then 23 down is pucker up, 4 letters. So that could just be kiss.
Yeah, it seems like...
Pout?
Yeah, because, I mean, that's the thing. Kissing is not quite puckering. It's what you do once you're puckered. But, okay, well, let's look at go ahead.
Yeah, by the way, we've got 6 minutes, 40 seconds.
Okay,
and we've
go
got
ahead.
4 to get.
225, space E, first word, second word, space Y, and then third word, space U, space S, space if it's kiss, and space U, space T, space if it's pout.
Go ahead.
Be my guest.
Be my guest.
Be
Absolutely
my guest.
brilliant. Be my guest. Put on something to the test.
Yes. So it must be kiss.
Yep. So we now have 2 left to get, and they're both really hard. So we've got this. So Jamaican Tangelo 4, 5 is blank G, blank I, blank R, blank I, blank.
Theo, a favorite of the crossword world is a fruit that is kind of fits in this space G, space I. The only thing that I think that could fit there would be an ugly, U-G-L-I, which is a fruit.
Okay.
But then what's the next word?
Could be so many things.
Is a tangelo like a tangerine?
What? Right, a word like... No.
Okay.
No, I was going to say prick, but that doesn't fit there. The I's in the wrong place. 12 down, we've still got to get is neighbourhood, blank R, blank Y, blank M, blank R, blank. I feel like we've got more chance of getting that one.
Yep, maybe.
And we have 4 minutes, just under 5 minutes.
Are we sure about all of our acrosses? Martyr, yes, definitely.
Pretty sure.
It sort of suits. Emmy, I can't think of anything else that it would be. We were hesitating between tata and tara, and then we have trying for difficult. Okay, so neighborhood, does it start with a vowel or a...
You would, well, possibly not, no. If you're coming to my neighbourhood, you're coming to my district, my patch, my neck of the woods, my area.
Well, let's think about this. Oh, no, shoot. I was thinking community. No, that won't work. But, okay, what could it end with? It's T space something. So it could end in T-Y. It could end in T... H. I don't really like that. Or it can end in T-E probably. That's why I thought community, but it doesn't fit.
Unless Marta's wrong, but I don't think.
I would be surprised because how many words do you know that end in YR and start with
it has to be Marta.
Yeah, I think so. Emmy, I don't... Tata or Tara, we're not sure yet.
Oh, Rob. These are real head scratches. And once again, we have this issue where we have to make good radio while we're
just
staring at 2 words we don't know. 3 minutes left.
Oh my God.
I like the idea of something mitty
Okay,
for
so Mitty.
neighborhood.
Jeez.
What could come between the R and the Y in that one? Because
Oh, what about in the neighborhood, as in you're in not a neighborhood like your neighborhood, but say we're haggling over a car and I say, I'm going to offer you 15,000. Am I in the neighborhood?
yeah.
Or just something that's like close to.
So like, am I in the like in the ballpark,
Yes.
but not ballpark because that doesn't fit.
Ooh, I have one, but it would mess up our trying.
Go on.
Proximity.
Yeah.
Which would make it T, I guess, then space XING for difficult. Oh, yeah.
Taxing.
Yeah, that could work.
Yes, that does work. That's a really, really good get, Rob. 1.5 minutes.
That's tough because looking at that 17 across, it could be tiring, it could be trying, it could be taxing. So I got too excited after lying, looking for the rhyme, and blinded myself to the other possibilities.
It's funny, that often happens where you get just too fixed, basically, and you have to always be flexible. He's got it. He's got the Jamaican Tangelo. I can see it.
I have a guess, Theo.
Okay, go on.
I have a guess. How much time do we have?
Okay, we have a minute.
Okay, this is...
So get guessing.
Let's just, for people, space G, space I, right?
Yeah.
Then it's space R, space I, space. Now, as I've said, in crosswords, you often come across the oogly, UGLI, which is a fruit. And I can't think of anything else that fits there, space G, space I. So if it was oogly, if we put that in, then we've got oogly or ugly. I don't know how it's pronounced.
Okay, go. 30 seconds, Rob.
Then space R, I'm getting to it, space R, space I, space. So it's oogly, space R, space I, space. Well, what is oogly?
10 seconds.
What is oogly? It is a fruit.
Oogly fruit. Okay. Oogly fruit. Done. And that is the timer.
Ooh, there's a new timer sound.
A new timer because I have a new phone. And annoyingly, the timer doesn't show over the crossword anymore. So I have to sort of swipe down to see what time we're on. So maybe I'll get myself an egg timer or something for next. Go old school, and then we can get a proper. Yeah.
Like many of the words in this crossword, which are quite old school, like itsy bitsy and kerfuffle and uppity.
I love that, Rob. I love that effort, and I really hope oogly fruit is correct because that's amazing.
First of all, let's find out what a tangelo is.
Okay, yeah, good idea. Let's ease ourselves in. It feels like it could be something fruity.
It's a fruit. The tangelo
there you go.
is a citrus fruit hybrid of a citrus reticulata variety, such as mandarin orange, tangerine, and a citrus maxima variety, such as pomelo or grapefruit. So there you go. It's like a tangerine and a pomelo.
Absolutely astounding.
Yeah.
Okay. An oogly, I have to be honest, I've never heard of an oogly. So
I never would have, but it is one of those words that happens to fit often into crosswords. So let's look at oogly, UGLI. Oogly or oogly fruit is a Jamaican form of tangelo.
Oh my God. This is feeling good.
Wow.
This is feeling very
and
good.
It's pronounced ugly.
Yeah.
The Jamaican tangelo, also known by proprietary name ugly fruit, pronounced ugly
fruit.
UGLY, and unique fruit, pronounced unique, is a citrus fruit, blah, blah, blah. So it's called ugly fruit.
I'm going to have to look this up now as well. So we eat quite a lot of Sharon fruit because we have a local shop here in South London that sells absolutely delicious Sharon fruit, or persimmon, as they're also known.
Okay, I didn't know what a Sharon fruit is.
Yeah, and they look not that dissimilar from these uglies, but uglies are more like oranges.
Yeah, but if you look at them, they're quite ugly, actually. They're sort of
They are quite
wrinkled
ugly.
and
Yeah.
squat.
By name and nature. Well, there you go, Rob. Okay, so let's just test and see if we've got everything correct. Are there any spellings we are unsure of?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so let's do a quick check all, and we are correct.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Rob, absolute chapeau to you, because you pulled that out of the bag at the very last minute, and if it wasn't for you cracking proximity as well, we would have been absolutely adrift there.
Well, you
So,
had me thinking
well
mitty,
done.
and then it had to be vowel mitty. So it had amity, imity, omity, and imity with the R where it was.
I don't like the clue neighbourhood for proximity. I think that's fairly obtuse, but
Yeah.
fair enough. I suppose if you just say close to or something, it's too easy. But even so, I'm proud of us there. I think actually though, get of the day for me is Itsy Bitsy. I thought that was fabulous. I mean, obviously, ugly fruit is by far the get of the day because it's not something I'd even ever heard of. But I don't think I would have seen Itsy Bitsy, and it's just a lovely word or collection of words.
Itsy bitsy teeny weeny.
Yellow polka dot bikini.
There you go.
That song would probably be cancelled today, I feel.
I suppose.
But
I mean, it's just talking
or
about
maybe not. No,
a piece of clothing that she wore for the first time last night. Isn't that the
true. I mean, compared to what Snoop Dogg talks about, it's
right? And they're not
it's
saying
nothing.
anything about how she looked in said piece of clothing or whether said piece of clothing was appropriate or how it was responded to by those around her. And so
Fair point. Yeah, uncancel it. It's fine.
bring it back from the bin.
Crosswords done, that was fun. Now let's have a chat.
Well done us. So we're up to 14-12, Rob.
So I'm going to say 12 and 14 for our North American listeners because 14-12 sounds like we're winning, but we are not. We are 2 behind, but we are clawing our way back. And so today, if I'm not mistaken, I think, are we 26 or 27? No, we're 26. So next episode will be equal our tally for last season. We'll be in the 27th episode of season 2.
Right.
But we had less pauses and we started earlier this season than we did last season. So we should get well above that number. So we do have, all to say, a bit of runway to get
We do have a bit of runway. Yeah.
back to winning scores. I really feel this is one we could have and probably should have lost. So
Yeah.
I take this one as a little bonus.
This was a Lazarus-like performance from yourself. And we will hopefully be doing an in-person episode before too long.
Sir.
Because you're, I believe, heading to our shores imminently. Is that right?
Imminently, yeah. I'll be leaving next week, next Wednesday, or Thursday? Yeah, so I'll be in the UK as of Friday next week, and then I'll be around for the better part of a week and a bit.
Brilliant.
Celebrating my birthday in the UK with some old friends, and yeah, so it'll be nice.
It will be nice. And you're going to come and stay for a couple of nights, and you can meet the tadpoles.
Yes, I was hopefully they'll have sprouted their limbs by that point.
Yes, they may well be carnivorous by then, so you can enjoy dropping some bacon in and watching the frenzy.
Yeah, keep my finger out of the bowl for sure.
The bit I'm worried about is how do you time it? Like, when are they old enough to go free? And then when they do go free, where do you send them? We have a park with a pond. Do I just take them down there and let them do their thing, or what? I mean,
I think so. You bring them.
Yeah.
You bring them as fox food.
okay.
A little fox snack.
A little fox snack. I mean, I'm slightly nervous on that front that we've now put them in the garden, as mentioned, because of the leak. So I don't want them getting snacked upon prematurely. But, having said that, nature is nature. So I guess you've got to, at some point, let what will be.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see them get their little legs and start that kind of amphibious journey. I think that would be a good thing for the kids to witness,
Yeah, for sure. I think that's what a child should see the life
My,
cycle of the frog up to, but not including its dismemberment and munching by the fox.
yeah. My son asked a very philosophical question last night in the bath. He said, I mean, he essentially asked a chicken and egg question, really, because he was saying if humans come from other humans, then who was the first human? So, which is a big question. Obviously, that
Which
opens
you
up.
answered Adam.
Exactly that. I said there were actually two. Then
Yeah.
there was one originally,
Yeah, I
Adam,
mean,
and
his
then
rib was harvested to create
his
another.
his rib was, sorry, we shouldn't laugh. Quite at the back, yes, his rib was turned into a woman, and they then created all of us. Is what I told him. Now, on your way, young man. That's all you need to know. But no, I did begin to sort of talk about how humans weren't always humans, and at some point we all lived in the sea, and then we sort of emerged from the sea and began to sprout legs and things, which brought me neatly back to the tadpoles. And I thought, well, we've got the perfect example of this amphibious journey in our leaking plastic box in the kitchen or outside the kitchen now. So yeah, as mentioned, I'm hoping they will get to that point so that the kids can witness what is essentially the beginning of all life, Rob.
Yeah. And he can watch it emerge from the pot, take its
Yeah.
first steps, and then become sentient and begin
Yeah.
to wage
So-
war on its fellow frog.
The reason we were having this conversation, which you may be interested in, apropos our previous conversations about toxic masculinity and the rest, was because they've been playing a game at school of boys v girls, and it had obviously escalated a little bit. So I had sort of, I was trying to just do a bit of the whole like, you don't have to do boys v girls. You can, I know they're 5 and that's what they do, but I was kind of saying, look, boys aren't better than girls aren't better than boys, both need the other. And that's how we got onto the thing of, I was like, if it wasn't for girls there would be no boys, and if it wasn't for boys there would be no girls. So it's the great sort of interdependence of the sexes is basically what I was trying to talk about, which led to inadvertently a conversation about tadpoles. However, it's an interesting thing to broach, and that's a conversation I now have, I think, in the wake of all of the recent stuff about Andrew Tate and all the rest of it, with just a little bit more awareness. It's not just about being nice and being kind and all the rest of it. It's also about just fundamentally understanding that no, one sex is not better than the other. And even this sort of playground childish stuff about girls and boys and all the rest of it, you just want to keep that in some kind of perspective, I think was my thinking, without wanting to go overboard on the sort of wokery or anything. I think it's important for fathers to have those conversations with their sons. No?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting because I've got sort of one who's 10, and so he's out of the phase where they play with girls. And he's sort of much into sports, and so it's all sort of bro time. But then I've got a 13-year-old who's about to emerge into the world of a fascination with women, more than likely. We'll see which way his orientation takes him. But it'll be sort of, I'm very curious to see that occur in he actually has quite a few friends that are girls, but I don't think he has any romantic inclinations yet, although he wouldn't tell me, so maybe he does.
No, you'd be the last to know. But
I would be the very last to know.
Yeah.
And he would be mortified for me to be speaking about this, so I shall not speak of him anymore. But in the abstract, it is that moment, right? You reemerge out of the world of the cocoon of boyness with boys to all of a sudden this sort of total fascination with women that dawns somewhere around 13 and 14 and carries you through much of your adult life if you're heterosexual.
Yeah, it's true. And it's your hope at every stage of that journey is that they just sort of retain a bit of perspective on it, I think, and that it doesn't tip over into total sort of tribalism, which I think inevitably it does slightly among kids. It always has done since time immemorial. But as I say, just having that conversation with my son now was just a way of hopefully beginning a much longer conversation with him over the years about the line between being a boy and being with your mates and playing and having fun, but also not not allowing the kind of gender divide to grow to such a point that you begin resenting the other, I think, is something that was probably at the back of my mind having that chat. But
the biggest edge on that in his life is going to be having a sister.
It's so true. I've often made the analogy, between my son's experience and the experience of Ken in the Barbie movie. I don't know if you've seen it, but essentially the premise is that Ken grows up in this matriarchy because Barbie rules all, and then he gets out into the real world and realizes, oh, hang on a minute, I have male privilege, and then he comes back into sort of Barbie land and empowers all of the Kens to realize their male privilege. So I think my son's experience is going to be a bit the same as that, growing up really in a matriarchy, and then one day he'll get out into the real world and realize he has some degree of male privilege. But anyway, we should probably round off the entire episode there, because we have gone on long enough. We haven't even mentioned that the Pope's died, which is quite impressive given the amount of coverage that's been receiving in the last
So apologies, listeners. If you're waiting you rely on Two Across for your news, the Pope is dead.
If we are your only window onto the world of current events, then we have badly let you down this week. But yes, I'm sure that we can probably put a pin in, because the whole conclave and all of that will no doubt go on for weeks and weeks, so we can talk about that if there is anything to talk about. That I don't know what there is to say. Well, actually, I do have one thing to say. Well, very short thing to say, which is just a little bit of feedback to the Cardinals currently gathering in Rome. Just maybe think about choosing someone younger this time. Is all I'm going to say. Just maybe go under 70. Just,
Apparently they'll never do it, because all of them look at it, especially the younger ones, and say, if I choose someone young, they're going to be Pope all the way through my lifetime and I'll never get a chance. And so they always pick someone old, because then they have a low shelf life. And then the Cardinals think, I might have my chance.
And then they get to go and do all their conclaving again, which obviously everybody loves. So that is a flawed system, is it not? That is such a flawed system. If it's in everybody's interest to essentially choose the oldest candidate, then where is that? Well, it just leaves them in this situation of having to do this pretty much once a decade, at least.
More or less.
Anyway, we must end it there.
Email us your favorite cardinal, with pictures if you'd like.
Yes, please do.
In between episodes, and maybe we'll have a papal showdown special in episode 27.
A pape-off.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, listeners, for being here with us this week for another rousing and stirring triumph by the Two Across team. We couldn't do it without your help and support. Knowing that you are there listening to us stirs us to great heights of crossword success. So thank you. You've been listening to Two Across, a podcast by Rob Cole and Theo Bosanquet. If you do like what you're listening to, you can always give us a like, subscribe, share information with a friend. That would be absolutely lovely. And as always, if such thing does not tempt you, well, then just keep on listening and enjoy your week. We'll be back next week with another episode of Two Across. Have a good one.